Water clarity is one of the key drivers of bass behavior, especially in the springtime. In this video, I'm going to explain how you can use Google Earth to identify the water clarity on your lake and predict where bass are going to set up in the spring. Let's get into it. Let's start by taking a look at a Google Earth image. In this video, I'm specifically using Google Earth Pro, which you can download for free onto your desktop or laptop computer. The reason we're using Google Earth Pro is because it allows us to actually look back in time at historical satellite images from different days to see how the water clarity is going to change. One call out is that this only works on a desktop or laptop computer. You cannot get Google Earth Pro on a phone or a tablet. This means if you have a Google Earth app or just use the web browser on your smartphone or on a tablet, you won't be able to get these historical satellite images. It's only if you download Google Earth Pro for free on your desktop or laptop computer. By using this timeline feature in Google Earth Pro, we can get images from different days, months, or years. For example, this image was taken in January of 2006, but we can skip ahead, for example, to January of 2016, or maybe November of 2013, so on and so forth. Here's one from April 2018. Not all of these images are perfect. Some of them are kind of covered up by clouds. If it was a cloudy day, sometimes they splice the image together here in the middle of the screen, so you have different images from different days kind of spliced together. But overall, if you look around, you should be able to find one or two good images that gives you the entire lake on a specific day. After finding a good image, we can start identifying the water clarity on this lake. I know from personal experience in Lake DeGray that the lower end of the lake has 4 to 6 feet of water visibility. The midsection of the lake has anywhere from 2 to 4 foot of visibility, and the upper end has anywhere from 6 inches to about 1.5 feet of visibility. If we then correlate that to the color of the water in this Google Earth image, we can see that the water on the lower end of the lake has a darker blue tint to it, while the water on the upper end of the lake has a brighter green tint to it. The water in the midsection has a mix of the two. This means that clearer water in this image is going to have that darker blue tint, and the dirtier water is going to have that brighter green tint. I find that this is pretty universal across any lake in the country, though there can be some differences if you're on the coastal waters that are very brackish, or you have a big algae bloom in the summertime. This means you may have to go through different historical images to get a feel for what that water looks like at different times, but in general, the guidelines that I laid out here with the dark blue water being clear and then the brighter green water being dirty should apply across most lakes across the country. We can also zoom in to a specific section of Lake DeGray to see how the water clarity gradually changes. If you take a look at the far left side of the screen, this is the river part of Lake DeGray, where a lot of the runoff water comes in. Here you can see that the water has a very bright green tint, and it probably has less than 6 inches of water visibility. However, as you move down the lake or right on the screen, you'll see that water slowly gets more of a blue tint to it and gets a little bit darker. This means that water is clearing up as you go from the top end of the lake down towards the dam. Identifying how this water clarity changes throughout a lake is extremely important in the springtime because it will actually impact the bass's spawning cycle. The main reason for this is because dirtier water tends to warm up faster than clear water. This means that the water temperature might be 60 degrees on the upper end of the lake where the water is dirty and the bass will be spawning. However, the water temperature is going to be colder in the clear water section of the lake, let's say 55 degrees rather than 60, and the bass will still be in their pre-spawn mode in the bottom end of the lake. Therefore, you have the choice to fish for spawning bass on the upper end of the lake or for pre-spawn bass on the lower end of the lake. There are times when it's better to fish for spawning bass versus pre-spawn bass, and I'm not going to get into that in this video, but it's important to note that bass might be in different stages of their spawning cycle because the water clarity can vary drastically from one part of the lake to the other. Really quick, I want to let you guys know about a new seminar we're offering on our website, fishthemoment.com. Just head to our virtual seminars page and you'll find a new seminar on advanced offshore strategies. Offshore areas are getting more pressure than ever before. Learning to outmaneuver the other anglers on these offshore spots can be the difference between winning a tournament and not catching a single fish off the bank. In this 3-hour seminar, I'm going to explain how you can catch more fish off of community holes using boat positioning and lure selection, and also how to find less pressured areas that other anglers pass up using your electronics. I spend 5 hours every single week driving around with my electronics, and I've learned so much on how to find these less pressured offshore fish and how to get pressured offshore fish to bite. If you're interested in the seminar, you can sign up at fishthemoment.com. The ability to identify different water clarities across the lake can also really help with planning your fishing days. I switched over to Lake Ouachita here, and if we zoom in to one of the creeks, you'll notice that if we take a look at an image from March of 2017, the water clarity varies drastically from one part of this creek to another. In the very back of the creek, it looks like there was recently some rain or some runoff, and you have some very stained water, that bright green water. However, on the main part of the creek, you'll notice the water still has that darker blue tint, which means it has clear water clarity. Again, from my experience, I know that this creek has 6 to 8 feet of water visibility in it normally. However, I also know that the very backs of these creeks can muddy up quickly and have 6 inches of visibility. This is really unique because you have very dirty water within a mile or two of very clear water. This can be great when you're planning a fishing day and you have a limited amount of time to find fish. A lot of times when you get to the lake, you don't know exactly what the weather's going to be because the weatherman may not be that accurate. And in my experience, I find that it's normally better to fish in dirtier water or stained water when you have sunny skies. However, on cloudy days, the bite can often be better in the clear water. If you're able to identify a creek that has 2 distinct water clarities, dirty water and clear water, in close proximity, you can actually give yourself more options during a fishing day. For example, if you get to the lake and it's cloudy in the morning, you can start fishing in the clear water section of the lake. But then if the sun pops out halfway through the day, you can make a move to that dirty water section of the creek and continue to catch fish. If you didn't look at Google Earth beforehand, you may have not known that there was dirty water in the back of this creek, and you may stick in that clear water section of the lake and really struggle to catch fish. Therefore, before you go fishing, I would highly recommend checking out different parts of your lake with Google Earth to try to find areas with different water visibilities close by so you can adapt to the current weather conditions and put more fish in the boat. Another scenario where this trick is very helpful is when you're fishing rivers in the springtime. In general, the main river channel on a river is going to be very stained or muddy in the spring. If we take a look at the main river channel here, you can see it has that bright green color, which means it's going to have very dirty water. From my experience, I would say it has 3 to 6 inches of visibility in the spring. However, if you take a look at one of these backwaters that's adjacent to the main river channel, you'll see that there's a section of clear water in one of these small finger creeks. If we zoom into this area, you can get a closer look at this backwater, and you can actually see that there's 2 different water visibilities within this same backwater. This first section has somewhat clear water to the main river, maybe a foot of visibility versus 6 inches, but the key spot in this backwater is definitely the very back of this little finger where you may have 2 to 2.5 foot of visibility. The water in this area has a little bit darker color, indicating that it's clear water. This is extremely important when fishing river systems in the springtime because bass like to spawn in clear water whenever possible. If they have no other option, they may spawn in the main part of this backwater, but if there is clear water available, like in this little area back in here, almost all the bass in this backwater will swarm to that small little section of clear water, and you're going to find the absolute mother lode of spawning bass in river systems in that small section of clear water. One thing that's important to check though is actually look through the different satellite images to see if the water in this finger is consistently clear year after year. So if we skip ahead a few images, you can see that the water is clear in this image, kind of indecisive in this one. It's definitely clearer in this image, has a little bit darker tone. It's actually about the same, if not even a little bit more stained, than the other finger in this creek in this image. And that's pretty interesting because it seems like this year, the other creek actually had some clear water to it. However, if we keep skipping ahead, you'll notice that the finger that was clear dirtied back up again, and the consistent clear water is still in that first finger that we identified. This means that while this finger here might have clear water once every 5 to 10 years, this other finger that we first identified consistently has clear water year after year. And one thing we've learned about spawning bass is they like to spawn in the exact same areas year after year. And if we can identify a creek or a section of a backwater that clears up the same way every year, it's more likely that those bass are going to pull in there to spawn year after year after year. This means if you do some detailed map study, you may be able to find a creek that's good every single year, and you'll be able to go repeat your success out of that creek every single spring, as long as the water temperature and all the other factors line up properly. This is one trick that has helped me win several tournaments on the Arkansas River when I was growing up, and it's something that I still use to this day to identify key spawning areas on river systems. And that's it for this video. Hopefully this Google Earth trick about how to identify water clarity will help you put more fish in the boat this spring. If you want to try out Google Earth Pro, I'll leave a link down in the description to a free download for laptop or desktop computers. As a reminder, the Google Earth Pro app does not work on tablets or smartphones. You need a laptop or a desktop computer to get it to work. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this video, and if you want more content like this, leave a comment down below letting me know you liked it, and also subscribe to the Fish Moment YouTube channel for more content like this. Thanks again for watching, and we'll see y'all next one.